I'm not usually too crazy about horror comedies, but this is one of my favorite ones. Let's do it. Tragedy Girls opens up with this girl named Sadie, and she's making out with this guy named Craig in his car. And the two of them hear a noise, and she tells him to go investigate. And of course, in typical slasher fashion, he is offed. However, this masked killer then runs directly into a trap. And the trap has been set by Sadie and her best friend Michaela because the two of them run this true crime blog called Tragedy Girls. And the two of them are willing to do whatever it takes to get more followers, including kidnapping a serial killer. So they tie this dude up, and we find out that his name is Lowell. The two girls ask Lowell for his expertise, but he refuses and threatens them. So the two of them decide that's fine, we'll do the murders ourselves and we'll keep him captive and use him as the fall guy. So the next day the sheriff comes to school and tells the student body that the police are presuming that Craig ran away. And this really pisses off Sadie and Michaela. And their friend Jordan, who is also the sheriff's son, is really pissed about it too because they believe that there's a serial killer on the loose. Which Jordan is completely unaware of Sadie and Michaela being fucking psychopaths. So the girls decide they have to do something else, and one day they run into Michaela's ex-boyfriend Toby. Yes, Josh Hutcherson is in this movie. And they get completely enraged when they learn that he has more followers than them and he refuses to give them a shout out. So of course they decide to kill him, and they do in what looks like a motorcycle accident. The police once again rule Toby's death an accident, which further enrages Michaela and Sadie. So the girls decide that their next victim is going to be their cheerleading captain named Syl because she's kind of a total bitch and is just like picked on them. So they show up to the school one night after hours where they find her and they off her, but it once again looks like an accident. But this time the girls are like, okay, no more accidents, we have to make this look real, so they dismember her. So the police finally rule this one as a homicide, and the next day there is like this memorial service for Syl. At the service, this local firefighter, Big Al, makes a speech and vows to catch the killer. So of course, he becomes their next victim. So the two girls corner him at the gym one night and attack him. Because he's so big compared to them and because they're super sloppy about everything, this huge struggle ensues. But eventually they are able to off him. Jordan, again, is completely unaware of what the girls are doing, but he is adamant about catching this serial killer. So he steals the case files from his father. We also see that he and Sadie have a crush on each other, which really pisses Michaela off, and she seems really jealous about the whole thing. At the same time, they're still keeping Lowell captive, and they go back to feed him and to check on him. And at this point, he tells her that he knows that Sadie is going to stab her in the back. Like, she's going to make Michaela do all the heavy lifting and then take the credit all on her own. So after Big Al's death, the mayor calls this big town hall meeting. At this meeting, Sadie and Michaela completely rile up all the townspeople there against the police to tell them that they're basically incompetent and responsible for all the deaths. And they do this by sending a picture of Al's decapitated head to everybody. So the two of them end up holding this march. Mind you, at this point, their following has really blown up. They're being interviewed by like the local news. But as they're at this march, they see that the mayor has been offed and his body hung up to show to everybody. And the two of them panic because they're like, did you do that one? But neither of them did because it turns out Lowell has escaped. At this point, Jordan has become really suspicious of Michaela because during the town hall meeting, he saw her with an extra phone send a text the moment that everybody got the Big Al picture. And we see Jordan steal that phone from Michaela. So when Michaela realizes this, she tells Sadie that she has to go to his house and kill Jordan. So Sadie agrees and goes to Jordan's house where he reveals to her that he stole Michaela's file from the school. He also admits to stealing her cell phone and he suspects her of being the killer. However, they are distracted when Lowell shows up and stabs Jordan. Jordan's dad, the sheriff, is downstairs sleeping but gets awoken by the commotion and comes upstairs and scares Lowell off. Sadie, as everybody is distracted, breaks Michaela's phone that Jordan stole. Sometime later, the sheriff is giving a speech to the town where he honors Sadie for saving his son that night. During her speech, they specifically refer to her as Tragedy Girl, and whereas before they always corrected people saying Tragedy Girls, plural, she doesn't say anything and she doesn't acknowledge Michaela in her speech at all. So this completely enrages Michaela and makes her realize that Lowell was right. Sadie is going to take all the credit. So because of this, the two have a falling out and they stop speaking. We see Sadie always hanging out with Jordan, who is healing from his injuries, and eventually prom night rolls around. So Sadie and Jordan, of course, go together, and we see Michaela get picked up at her house by her date, who is none other than Lowell. So Lowell and Michaela show up to the dance, and Michaela offs one of her teachers, and then Michaela goes and confronts Sadie. Earlier, we found out that Jordan's mother was murdered when he was a kid, and during this confrontation, Michaela talks to Sadie about how they were the ones that murdered his mother when they were kids. And it was never technically ruled as a murder because it was a car accident, but they were responsible for it. And And of course, they're completely unaware that Jordan is listening, so now he knows the whole thing. Jordan still tries to go back for Sadie and help her, and he grabs her, and the two of them flee. But then Lowell comes out and chases them and attacks them. Michaela, however, stops him and was like, I specifically said Sadie is off limits. You do not hurt her. And Lowell turns around and is like, do you think I forgot about you? Like, do you think I'm actually here helping you? Because I'm going to fucking kill you too. But Michaela pulls out a gun and shoots him dead. And the girls reunite because of murder. They hug each other and tell the other one, I missed you. Jordan is watching this whole thing very fucking confused. And it's at this point that Sadie ties a rope around his neck and hangs him. The girls then put on their masks and chain the doors of the gym shut. And they proceed to set fire to the gym that kills everybody inside. And the two of them sit outside unharmed watching the whole thing. In the aftermath, we see that overall 124 students were killed in the fire. And Lowell is the person that they hold responsible for it. We see the sheriff resign from his position, just completely devastated by the whole thing. And we see that the Tragedy Girls now have millions of followers. And Sadie and Michaela both get full scholarships to college. The final scene shows them driving off to college to start their new life, completely unbothered by the whole thing and getting away with it all.